It's a very nice evening. Nice and spooky. And so in honor of this spooky night, I will be reading to you Rumplestiltskin, a short story by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm. You may know about the Grimm brothers because of Grimm's fairy tales. A lot of what Disney uses is from the Grimm brothers. So those classic tales of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Ariel, the Little Mermaid, all from the Grimm brothers. And Rumpelstiltskin was written by the two of them. Once upon a time, there was a miller who made his living by grinding wheat into grain. Although he was poor, he had a beautiful daughter. One day the miller had a chance to talk with the king. He tried to impress the king by saying, "I have a daughter who can spin straw into gold." "Now that's a talent I would find useful," the king replied. "Bring your daughter to my castle tomorrow so I can test her." The next day the king led the miller's daughter to a room completely filled with straw. Pointing to a spinning wheel, the king commanded, "Now get to work. If you don't spin all the straw into gold before morning, then you will die." With that, he locked the door and left her all alone. The miller's daughter had no idea how to spin straw into gold, so she started to cry. Suddenly the door opened and a little man stepped inside. "Why are you crying so?" he asked. The girl answered, "I must spin straw into gold, but I don't know how." The little man said, "What will you give me if I spin it for you?" "My necklace," said the girl. The little man took the necklace and sat down at the spinning wheel. Whir, whir, whir. Soon the first spool was full. Whir, 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 and soon the second one was too. This went on all night. By morning all the straw was spun, and all the spools were full of gold. Right at sunrise, the king appeared. When he saw the gold, he was surprised and happy, but his greed for gold made him want even more. So he took the miller's daughter to another room completely filled with straw. This room was even bigger than the first. Again he commanded her to spin all the straw into gold before morning, or she would die. The girl started to cry. Once again the door opened and the little man appeared. "What will you give me if I spin the straw into gold for you?" "The ring on my finger," answered the girl. The little man took the ring and once again began spinning. The wheel whirred and whirred, and by morning he spun all the straw into gold. The king was delighted to see all the gold, but he still hadn't satisfied his greed. So he took the miller's daughter to a still larger room filled with straw and commanded her to spin it all into gold. Realizing that this poor girl would bring him more gold than the wealthiest woman in the whole world, he said, "If you succeed, I shall marry you and make you my queen." After he'd gone, the little man returned for a third time. "What will you give me this time if I spin the straw into gold for you?" "I have nothing more I can give you," answered the girl. "Then promise me your first child after you become queen." The miller's daughter didn't know what else to do. Besides, she thought, who knows what may happen? So she promised the little man what he demanded, and once again he spun the straw into gold. When the king found everything just as he'd wished, he married the miller's beautiful daughter, and she became the queen. A year later, she gave birth to a beautiful child. Suddenly, the little man appeared in her room and said, "Now give me what you promised." Terrified, the queen offered him all the riches in the kingdom if only he would let her keep the child. But the little man said, "A living child is worth more to me than all the riches in the world." The queen began crying so much that the little man finally said, "If in the next 3 days you can find out my name, then you may keep your child." The queen spent the whole night thinking of names she knew. She also sent a messenger out into the countryside to find out other names. When the little man returned the next day, the queen recited every name she knew. But each time the little man said, "That is not my name." The second day, the queen asked people in her neighborhood what unusual names they knew. When the little man returned, she asked, "Is your name Beef Ribs, or Lamb Chops, or Spider Legs?" But always he answered, "That is not my name." On the third day, the messenger returned. "I haven't found any new names, but on the edge of the forest, high up in the mountains, I saw a little house with a fire burning in front. A very odd little man was hopping around it, calling out, 'Some bread I'll bake, some beer I'll brew, and soon I'll have the queen's child too. It's good that no one here can claim that Rumplestiltskin is my name.'" You can imagine how happy the queen was when she heard that name. Soon afterward, the little man appeared. "Now what is my name?" he asked. At first the queen said, "Is your name Conrad?" "No." "Is it Henry?" "No." "By any chance, is it Rumplestiltskin?" "The devil told you that! The devil told you that!" shrieked the little man. He stamped his right foot so hard that he drove his whole leg into the ground. Furious, he then yanked at his left leg so hard that he ripped his body in two. And that is the story of Rumpelstiltskin. I hope you all had a very nice time and enjoyed listening. I hope your spring break is going very well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!